Hello everyone. In this video I'm going to talk about how to make Tunisian crochet bobbles. I have this swatch here where I already have these two bobbles made. I actually have another video which is also about bobbles, but the difference between this one and that one is that I'm going to make double crochet bobbles here, and in the other video I've made half double crochet bobbles. So the technique is about almost the same, only that we will make half double crochets here double crochets here instead of half double crochets. I'm going to add a link to the other video in the description below so you can check that out as well. And so with this swatch I have simple stitches and I have these bobbles. So if you need to know how to make simple stitches or how to make your foundation row, I have separate tutorials for those as well, which you are welcome to look at. So in this video I'm only going to talk about how to make these bobbles. So let's get started. I'm going to make a few simple stitches, and here I'm going to line up my bobbles for this video. You could make them wherever you'd like. So I'm here now, and if you look at this bobble, this stitch lines up right on top of that. So I'm going to make my next bobble here. And so one thing to remember here is that there are two parts to making this bobble. One is the bobble itself, the technique of making the bobble. The second is where you would make it. So you could make it pretty much anywhere. You could make it here where you'd make your full stitch. You could make it here where you'd make your next full stitch. You could make it in the back loop like I've done in the other video, or you could make it like you make your simple stitch or like your knit stitch. So in this video I'm going to make it knitwise. So that means that as you would make your knit stitch, so this is how you would make your knit stitch, and that is where I'm going to make the DC bobble. So this is going to be a 4 DC bobble. So I'm going to start with making 1 double crochet. So yarn over, insert your hook as if you were making a knit stitch, pull through, and yarn over, pull through 2. So that's 1 DC. So I'm going to do this 4 times in the same spot. So this is 2, 3, and 4. So now that you have your 4 double crochets, isolate them here. So these are the 4 that you just made in this one stitch. Yarn over and pull through all 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. There you go. So I have all 4 in the same stitch here, and I will chain 1 at this point to sort of lock them in place. If you don't do this, the bobble the stitch is very loose and it doesn't work out very well. So don't forget to make this 1 chain here. And that's pretty much it about making the bobble. So this is how you make it. I'm going to make another one right on top of this here. So I have 2 simple stitches, 1 and 2, and I'm going to make a bobble knitwise. So again, 4 double crochet stitches. So yarn over, find the spot where you'd insert your hook to make a knit stitch. So that's there, yarn over, pull through. So that's 1 double crochet. Do this 3 more times. So that's 2, 3, 4. And another thing to remember here is that I make my double crochet stitches loose enough so all of them are about the same height. I didn't want the last ones to become more tight than the first ones. So just something to remember, that when you're making your bobbles, make sure that all of them are a little loose. Now again, yarn over. So here are the 4 loops that I just made in this stitch. Pull through all 4 and then chain 1 here. So that's the next bobble, and I'm going to complete the row with simple stitches. And my reverse pass is going to be the same as any other, where you chain 1 and then yarn over and pull through 2 loops all the way to the beginning of the row. And here it is. So that's how it looks. These 2 bobbles are nicely popped up. They're not loose. The stitches are not loose. And I'm going to make 1 round of simple stitches on top just to see how to work on top of these. So here are my simple stitches. These are easy because they're just on top of simple stitches. But so here's my bobble, and if you look at this part here, that is where you'd make your simple stitch for the next one. So here, there, and I do the same thing for the next one. Identify that vertical bar, there it is, and continue making simple stitches all the way to the end. And then I'm going to make the reverse pass just like any other, with chain 1 and yarn over, pull through to all the way to the beginning. Right, here you go. This is how it looks, and they're nice and they're popped up. They're not popped towards the back. And if you turn this around here, it's nice and clean at the back. You can see where the bobbles are, but it's nice and clean. So this is all I have about the bobble stitch. There is one thing that I recently found out, which I'd like to share, is that I tried half double crochet bobbles with velvet yarn, and they didn't work out really well because velvet yarn is very slippery, and I used that stitch in one of my patterns, and while testing we found that the bobbles weren't holding up really well because of the nature of the yarn. So in that case, double crochet bobbles worked out really well. So if you're using velvet yarn, I strongly recommend using this bobble, the double crochet bobble, instead of the half double crochet bobbles. If you have any questions about this, please feel free to reach out to me, and I will see you in my other tutorials.